Okay, since HeliDirect sent me, or Outrage or whatever, sent me this Hattori style pipe called the RJX 90 pipe, and the KME engine really runs supposedly better with a 90 pipe, I figured I'd talk about this and show you how to put it together. So I already started on it a little bit before figuring to do this video, but here we go. So when this muffler comes, there's two holes in the pipe. Alright, one is for the pressure tap, and you also get a screw. Both come with lock washers. However, even though they do come with lock washers, I use red Loctite to secure these, okay? So what you want to do is put the nipple on the side, whichever you prefer, on the side where your pressure tap's going to come off, okay? So I put it on the top, and that makes a nice short run to the fuel tank as possible. Okay, so that's basically it on that, except let me just talk about this. If you look at these rubbers, you'll see one side has a thicker side and a thinner side. Now, on the Hattoris anyway, what you want to do is you want to put the thinner side, when you put these in the hole, you want to put the thinner side toward the header. This is called the header, okay, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So let me just feed one of these in here. Okay, putting some silicone grease on it might help, but that's the way you want it. Alright, additionally, these metal parts will go in here, and that's how, actually I think I just put them on the wrong way. So let's see, when we go to bolt this on, yeah, alright. So then this will go this way, and of course these screws will go in here, and that's what you screw when you put the header on, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I normally use red. You could probably get by with blue Loctite on the 4 screws that screw the pipe to the header, okay, because they're rubber dampened. I'm going to go ahead and use blue, at least on this, but if they come loose on you, go ahead and use red. Okay, so the other thing is the way this bolts on the motors, you'll notice this indent here. These are for the nuts, okay? Also, there's 4 screws like this in the bag. I imagine these are for, the pipe did come with another header. I imagine it's for YS versus OS versus whatever. But these are built-in nut holders, so you'll put the nuts in there. I can't quite get them in there when you go to bolt this on the motor. So once you get all the rubbers and these things in the rubbers, then at that point go ahead and let's bolt this to the motor. So again, you're going to bolt this to the motor, and the way you're going to do this, let me show you another orientation thing to make sure you don't get it backwards. The way you do this is you'll notice it looks like they're kind of offset, and you'll notice the porthole in there. Well, you don't want to mount it this way, because when you bolt it down, you'll see the porthole isn't going to line up quite with the motor. It's going to be blocked off a little bit. So it mounts this way. Now, on this particular heli, I may not have to trim this fan shroud, because I notice it does push down around the head. So when I tighten this up, I don't think it'll be an issue. Alright, but on some, I've had to trim the fan shroud to clear this area here. Okay, so we'll see how that goes, especially once I put the screws in. So what you want to do now is get your high temp RTV and put a bead around here, and don't put a whole lot, so when you tighten this up it gets down into the motor. You just want a thin coat. By the way, in a pinch out in the field, I have been able to use red Loctite and just lay a bead around there and make a seal using the red. It does work, believe it or not. But if you've got the high temp RTV, go ahead and do that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get the header bolted to the motor, and we'll come back, take a look, and then we'll get the muffler installed. Okay, after test fitting this, I found that you can, on other ones I've done, these nuts that fit in the holders, if you bolt this on first, you may find you can't get the nuts in there. But it appears if you do bolt this on first, there is enough access to be able to get the nuts in there. But I would get them placed before you bolt this down. Now again, here comes the critical part. You want to make sure that opening is toward the front of the pipe. Now getting this on, here's another critical part. You need to lube these up really well. If you push this on, what can happen is you can roll this out of the groove, the rubber, pinch it, and thus not get a good seal. So it's super important you lube these really well, and go ahead and work this on and make sure that those rubbers don't roll out of those grooves and wind up deforming them. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this on, get the 4 screws on, and then we can come back and bolt it on the heli. Okay, so there we have it. And basically what you want to do is, because of these reliefs that go inside the rubber, you want to tighten all 4 of those screws down all the way, okay? You don't leave them loose because those spacers that go inside the rubber are made just enough to compress that rubber a little bit, but allow this whole dampening effect to occur, all right? So make sure you get all 4 of those tightened. Again, use red if you're unsure the blue will hold. This does get hot. It is attached to the motor. So again, now at this point, and this is going to finish it up, let's go ahead and put your sealant on the motor. Again, just the right amount. And then you're just going to, because your lock nuts are already there and held, they can't fall out. It makes it pretty easy. Just hold this up and put your 2 long bolts in. Okay, if this was a YS or something and you weren't using the nuts where it screws directly into the motor, you would have wanted to get these screws in place and ready before you bolted the header onto the pipe. Okay, so that kind of finishes up this RJX pipe. It came with no instructions, so I figured I'd do a little video showing you how to put it together and mount it. And hopefully that was helpful, and we'll see you later.